Hello. Today we are going to talk about using think tank research. After completing this tutorial, you will be able to understand how to best use think tank research, evaluate a think tank, and spot bias. Think tank research is useful to students because it is a rich source of relevant information that is usually freely available on their website. They research and publish on new and trending topics faster than traditional journal and book publication. But can you trust think tank research? To best use think tank research, you need to understand bias, research the think tank staff and finances, and consider using multiple points of view. The term think tank is an imprecise phrase used to describe a wide range of nonprofit research organizations which engage in public policy analysis and research and often advocate solutions. The focus of these organizations can range from as narrow as a single issue to very broad in interests. While some think tanks are strictly nonpartisan, meaning they research policy issues without regard to political outcomes, the term nonpartisan simply means that the think tank has no formal connection to a political party. However, it still might have a bias. Think tanks known for being nonpartisan include the RAND Corporation and the National Bureau of Economic Research, NBER. Centrist think tanks include the Brookings Institute and the Pew Research Center. For political think tanks, liberal-leaning think tanks include the Center for American Progress and the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, while conservative ones include the Cato Institute, Heritage Foundation, and the American Enterprise Institute. To learn how to evaluate a think tank, let's look at an example, the Brookings Institute. First, check if the think tank clearly identifies if it has political leanings or claims to be neutral. Many think tank websites will have an About Us page with this information. Just because a think tank claims to be neutral does not mean that they are free from bias. If they do not directly state this information, you can still evaluate them to see if they have a hidden bias. Are they simply sharing their research, or are they trying to influence political change? Are they focused on only one issue or topic, like environmental regulations or housing policy? Look to see if they are only researching one side of the issue or presenting one side in a better light. You can look at their word choice and tone in the content to determine ideological bias. Another thing to look for is a conflict of interest policy. This can encompass staff conflicts of interest or their sources of funding. You can also evaluate by researching the people involved with the think tank. You can check on the credentials of individual authors to see what else they have written for that organization or learn more about them. If the think tank doesn't provide this information, Google the author to find more information and affiliations they might have. The Board of Directors or Advisory Council is another way to see who is involved with the think tank. An environmental regulation think tank whose board of directors are oil executives is an obvious example of conflict of interest or hidden bias in their research. Another way to evaluate think tanks is by looking at the money. Think tanks are often funded by individuals or foundations who have a particular end goal in mind. To assess their financial situation, look for an annual report or tax filings. Think tanks designated as a nonprofit must not benefit private interests or shareholders and are limited in how much they can lobby. Their nonprofit status requires them to make tax filings public. Ask yourself the following questions. Are they publicly or privately funded? Who are the major contributors? Does the annual report list donors and amounts? Are large donors anonymous? If so, you should be concerned that big donors may be trying to hide their influence. What is the budget? Has the budget changed radically in recent years? This could indicate a change in funding. Bias isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as you are aware of it. Try to make sure you are researching various points of view. You could contrast policy statements from two think tanks with vastly different perspectives on the issue. To review, think tanks can be a great source of research, but you need to be aware of bias. Check on the researchers, staff, executives, and funding sources if a think tank doesn't state outright where they stand on issues. This concludes our introduction to using think tank research. If you would like additional information or have questions, please ask us at library.georgetown.edu/ask-us.